When Mason opened the door of his car, there was a single wet footprint on the driver's seat. Small, bare, and still dripping. But he'd been alone the entire night. The rain had been falling since dusk. Thick, heavy sheets hammering against the windshield like handfuls of gravel. Mason squinted through the wipers as they dragged across the glass with that tired rubber squeal. The highway should have been empty, but somewhere ahead a pair of taillights blinked in and out of the downpour, glowing like eyes in the fog. He wasn't supposed to be out tonight. His sister's voice kept repeating in his head. You shouldn't drive this late, Maze, especially not in weather like this. But she wasn't the one sitting in a half-lit diner 2 hours ago, watching his ex-girlfriend cry across a plate of cold pancakes. He just needed air and space, and the kind of silence that comes with rain swallowing every sound. Now the silence felt wrong. The GPS had stopped working 20 minutes ago, frozen on a blue screen before fading to black. His phone battery was under 10%, no signal. The road signs were smeared with mud. He wasn't sure if he was even still on Route 117 anymore. He rolled the window down a crack. The air smelled like wet asphalt and pine. Somewhere deep in the woods, thunder crawled across the sky. Mason exhaled and kept driving. The first sign that something was off came when he noticed the truck. A white pickup, parked on the shoulder, facing the opposite direction. Headlights off, but he could see the faint reflection of a chrome bumper when lightning flickered. He slowed down instinctively. Maybe someone needed help. Then the wipers cleared another pass of water, and he saw the driver's door was open. No movement, just the door swinging slightly with the wind. He eased past it. The rain made it impossible to see inside. But as his car crawled forward, the headlights caught something on the pavement. A black smear. Oil maybe, or blood. Mason's grip tightened on the steering wheel. He pressed the accelerator, trying not to think about it. The road bent sharply left, then straightened again. The tail lights from before were gone. No cars. No lights. Just rain and miles of black road stretching ahead. He told himself it was fine. Maybe a flat tire, maybe a hunter's truck. Still, he couldn't shake the image of that open door. After another few miles, he saw a glowing sign up ahead. Moore's Gas and Service. Relief. He pulled into the lot, splashing through puddles. The place looked like it hadn't been open in years. Neon half dead, flickering. The store inside glowed with weak yellow light. He turned off the engine and just sat there for a moment, letting the rain pound the roof. There was a car parked next to the building. An old beige sedan, empty. He grabbed his phone, flashlight barely flickering, and stepped outside. The cold hit him like a slap. Water soaked through his hoodie in seconds. When he pushed open the gas station door, a small bell jingled. Inside, everything smelled of dust and gasoline. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. A single man stood behind the counter, older, gray hair, flannel shirt. His name tag said Earl. Earl didn't look surprised to see him, which somehow made it creepier. Hell of a night, Earl said, voice gravelly. Yeah, Mason replied. You open? Earl smiled faintly. Always open. Storms don't close this place down. Mason tried to laugh. You got coffee? Earl nodded toward the corner where an ancient coffee pot simmered. Fresh batch. Been on since 7. Mason poured himself a cup, ignoring the smell. He needed the warmth more than the taste. Earl watched him. You headed east or west? East, I think, Mason said. Trying to get back to Ashford. Earl scratched his chin. You took the wrong turn about 10 miles back. Route 117 washed out 2 days ago. Bridge gone. Mason frowned. No signs. GPS is dead. Yeah. Happens every time the rain comes heavy. Folks get stuck. End up turning around here. He leaned forward slightly. You come by that white truck? Mason hesitated. Yeah. A few miles back. Door was open. Didn't see anyone. Earl's face twitched. That so? Yeah. Looked empty. Earl nodded slowly. Silence stretched. The rain outside felt louder. You know the guy? Mason asked. Earl didn't answer right away. Then, truck's been sitting there since last night. Mason blinked. Since last night? You mean no one? Earl shook his head. We called the sheriff. He came by this morning. Said he'd check it out. Guess he never did. That uneasy feeling crawled back up Mason's spine. He sipped the coffee, bitter, metallic. Any motels around? He asked. Earl looked toward the road. Closest one's 30 miles east. But you ain't getting there tonight. Flooding past Mill Creek. You'll end up stuck or worse. Mason sighed. Great. Earl's voice softened. Got a cot in the back if you need a place till morning. Not fancy. Dry though. Mason looked at him. Something about the man's steady stare was both comforting and off. Still, he was soaked, exhausted, and driving blind in a storm. Yeah, that'd help, thanks. Earl motioned to a door behind the counter. Through there. You can park your car around back if you like. All right. When Mason turned to leave, he caught something in the reflection of the window. Earl still watching him. Expression blank. He stepped back into the rain, got into his car, and drove around to the rear lot. There was only one dim bulb above a back door. The sedan was gone. He hadn't heard it leave. He cut the engine. For a second, he thought about locking the doors and just sleeping in the car. Then lightning flashed, and for a split second he saw something, movement, near the tree line. He blinked hard. Just rain and shadows now. Mason grabbed his backpack and headed inside. The back room was small. A storage area with cardboard boxes, an old cot, and a faint smell of mildew. A single bulb flickered overhead. He dropped his wet hoodie, kicked off his shoes, and sat on the edge of the cot. His phone had 4% battery left. Still no signal. He opened his messages. Last one from his sister. Text me when you get home. He typed a reply. Stuck at a gas station. Will call in the morning. But the message wouldn't send. He stared at the failed to deliver notification until the screen went black. Something creaked. Not thunder. Wood. Floorboards. He turned his head. The door to the main shop was half open. Through the crack, he could see part of the counter and one of the aisles. Earl? He called softly. No answer. He stood, listening. The rain filled every gap of silence, but underneath it, there it was again. A faint scraping sound, like shoes dragging across tile. He stepped closer, peeking through the crack. The front lights were still on. The coffee pot still hissed. But Earl wasn't behind the counter anymore. Mason pushed the door open wider, moving slowly. The sound came from near the front, behind one of the shelves. He took a few cautious steps forward, heart thudding. Earl? You good?